everyone, this is Elena Allsru, and thank you so much for joining me for a mental health and training fitness video. Every one of us has had a time in the gym where our training didn't go the way we had hoped, or we missed a PR. This can be extremely frustrating and discouraging, but luckily, these are also opportunities for us to look at so we can learn and grow from them. They can provide a platform to be able to reflect upon what you did well, what you didn't do well, and what you can learn from. So much of lifting is about the mental health side, and being able to determine how you choose to think about a situation and reflect on it really can impact the amount of success you have in the future. Today I'm going to break down my missed PRs and my failures with the deadlift. Hopefully in doing that I can share with you guys my mindset about it, how I reflect about it, and why I believe that that's very essential as a lifter to be able to assess what you do well, what you don't do well, so that you can make improvements. I hope that this video can be helpful and encouraging to those of you who are trying to learn and grow from your failures and missed opportunities. Thank you so much for joining me. Here we go. Reflection is one of the most powerful tools that you can have as a lifter. It's an opportunity to be mindful about the past in order to be able to evaluate it well, to be able to learn for the future. But many times it can be hard to reflect, especially if your emotions are running high and you care so much about what you're doing. One of the things I wanted to talk about was that one, emotions are not bad, they're awesome because they give us clues to things that we care about and also show us sometimes what we're trying to protect. So many athletes become very hard on themselves and they can have a lot of negative self-talk, and this can really slow down your progress. So to the extent that you can reflect well and get to a place that you're objectively viewing yourself and have a level of self-compassion, that is the extent to which you can grow the most. So today I really want to talk about 5 ways that you can prepare yourself to reflect, and then walk you guys through my own reflection of my failure. 5 ways to be able to get to a place where you can reflect objectively and with self-compassion include time, sleep, empathy, feedback, and distancing. The first one I wanted to talk about real quick was time. Time is so important because it allows you to create some space between you and the actual event. Also, I've heard it shared in therapy a lot that when you go through an event and then you go pick it apart real fast, it's like picking wet paint. So let that analogy sit with you and let the paint dry before you go back and try to evaluate it. Just give it a little bit of extra space, anywhere between 12 and 24 hours, and I would depend that upon your level of reactivity and emotion attached to the situation. 2, sleep. Sleep is so important. Your brain is this beautiful organ, and it has been designed to process and reprocess and put things and organize them into its proper place, creating new memory networks, kind of throwing out the bad stuff, putting together the good stuff, taking all the fragments and putting them together as a whole to allow your body and mind to understand what just happened. It also is an opportunity for you to distance yourself from the situation in order to think objectively. Thirdly, you need to experience empathy from someone who cares about you. They just need to be a good listener and care about who you are. It doesn't need to be a lifter at your same level or anything like that. To me, I'm grateful because I have some friends around me, and when I miss a lift, I'll probably walk up to one of them and just say, man, I'm so frustrated, this happened, blah, blah, blah. And they might say something nurturing like, man, I know that meant a lot to you. You almost had it. I've totally been there. I know how you feel. That's a nurturing response. I feel like that's just so important for you to be able to have in order to just feel that like, oh, they get it, or they get me, they care about me, I'm known, I'm valued, I'm okay. The fourth thing that's important to be able to have is feedback. So maybe 1 or 2 things from your coach. You don't want to be bombarded with information yet, because when you go back and look at it objectively, you'll be able to handle that. But maybe if your coach just says 1 or 2 things like, yeah, I think that just got out in front of you a little bit, or hey, I just think you need to brace a little bit more, or something like that, where you can kind of keep that in your mind and be like, all right, you know, this is partly technique. I can work on that. I can do that. So it's just about getting that positive feedback from a trusted coach. Then the last thing is something that you may not have heard of. It's called distancing. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an opportunity to take a step back from the situation and view it objectively. And so one of the ways that I like to help people understand this in my practice, when you're, you know, it's kind of like when you're too close to a situation, you can't see clearly. So one of the ways you could do that is refer to the situation like you're watching a movie. It allows you to take a step back and kind of be a viewer of your own event. Another way to do this is like when someone writes in the third person, it's like you're seeing yourself in the third person, like, oh, she did this or she did that. And that allows you again to kind of get some distance emotionally from the event so that you can view yourself compassionately and with total objectivity. And so all of these are really great ways to be able to distance and reflect and not attach emotion to what's going on, so that you can be objective and think critically and learn and grow. I think this is cool because we can all do this through video. I love that I can just take a real quick video of my lift and be able to look at it and be like, oh, I didn't do that, I did do that. So I find this extremely helpful, and then it shows your reality as well. And so I just wanted to share with you guys those 5 quick techniques to be able to prepare yourself to be able to reflect. So now I'm going to take you guys with me on my personal reflection. Thanks so much for joining me. Okay, so for my experience of failure, it's been happening a lot lately. I'm in the lifting arena, but that's okay. So I'm going to help you guys understand like why I love to reflect and how it's helped me. So let's just take my deadlift for example. So about a week ago, I failed on the 305 well, I was supposed to hit 325, but I got up to 305 and it just went halfway up and I just felt like I was really out of form. So I put it down and it kind of like leveled me a little bit, like, man, I just got to 285 and I got that, but then it didn't go well after that. And so I wanted to take an honest audit of my time and also of the time that I'd put into the program, because initially I was upset, I was embarrassed. I mean, everybody stopped and looked at me. I have like, 15 people watching me and it was just embarrassing. So I get really hard on myself. Just to let you into my world, some of the thoughts that flood in my head are, you should have done this, like you should have done better. And I just really do what you're not supposed to do and just kind of get down on yourself. And the problem is if you stay there, it can really mess you up. But for me, like I had some people to talk to. I got away from the situation. And then 24 hours later, as I began to reflect, I began to notice some things and I was able to remove myself and see myself objectively. I like to use the analogy of seeing myself like it's playing out in a video, or a movie. So I'm watching myself, and as I go back and evaluate objectively with self-compassion about, hey, why did this girl miss this deadlift PR? She's been training for a really long time. She should PR at the end of this cycle. What happened? I realized that a couple days prior, I had gone on a family reunion, awesome trip to Long Island, New York. Some of the positives that came out of this trip was amazing family time with people I don't get to see a lot, great time with my family, good Armenian food, which I love. I got to go in a salt pool, which was awesome. I got to do flips. It was fun. I got to go fishing. I got to go on the ocean. I just had a phenomenal time. I loved all of that. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade this experience. That's much more worth the time to me than the PR was. But it is important to count the cost of the things you do and realize that, initially I could blame my program or blame whatever, but it's really me, and I need to take ownership of that and my decisions and my priorities. And what I realized that it cost me was I sat in a car for like 15 hours, more than I would have before a deadlift PR. So my hips were obviously really tight. My back was locked up a little bit more. I also did not stretch. I did not roll. I didn't sleep as much. Came home and went right to work the next day, sat for another 8 hours, and then went to train a deadlift PR. And I didn't do the things I normally do. I usually review technique. I view video of myself being successful, and I just really go in with intention. And I know I didn't. I went in like kind of half-hearted, and I didn't even know if I was going to wear shoes or go bare feet. So a lot of things went wrong for myself, but it's important for me to step back and see that, because I can evaluate, hey, was this worth it? And what do I need to do to get the PR? And to me, like I said, I wouldn't have changed it. I think that maybe I shouldn't have tried that PR that day. That could have been a great observation, or maybe next time if I do decide to go away, I'm going to do more for my recovery if I'm hoping to get a PR. But it's just important to step back and see what you're doing. And I also realized, looking back longer term, with this program, I didn't do a lot of my assistance at the weights that I should have. So I can see that I didn't do that. And so this is the cost of that, and I'm able to see that. So that's an honest reflection of me. Like, my emotions were, like, I was disappointed in the beginning when I got when I didn't get the lift. It's also important to realize, like, I'm one of those people who could minimize it and say, well, that lift didn't matter. But you know what? That's also kind of lying to myself, because it does. And if I look at where I'm spending my time, I'm really working towards pretty big numbers for myself. So it's important to own that and just say, hey, this does matter to me. I'm very disappointed. This is what I'm going to do. So I hope that was helpful to you guys. I wanted to walk you guys through how important it is, one, to prepare yourself to be able to reflect, because I couldn't have told you guys all of that right after I missed those lifts. I had to go through a couple things: time, talking to people who care about me, sleeping, allowing my brain to reprocess, taking a big step back, distancing myself from the situation, receiving a little bit of feedback. All those things feelings have allowed me to be able to share all this with you guys in an objective way, but still being compassionate towards myself and not being hard on myself. I'm cool with the fact that I went to a family reunion, had an amazing time, didn't get a deadlift PR. It's okay, like the PR will come. I hope this was helpful and encouraging to you guys. Please leave a comment down below if you have any questions or comments. I'd love to hear. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. Bye.